With us today is Linda Hogan. She was inducted into the Chickasaw Nation Hall of Fame in 2007. She's been a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize for her novel Mean Spirit. Her other honors include a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Native Writers Circle of the Americas and an American Book Award. She has also been a finalist a number of times at the Oklahoma Book Awards. And you are here tonight. You are a finalist both for Rounding the Human Corners, which is a collection of poetry, and also for your novel, People of the Whale.
Yes.
I imagine there's a great difference between writing poetry and fiction.
There is. At first it was very difficult because I had to think in terms of character development and plot, and I wasn't accustomed to that. Now I'm more conscious of it, so it's a little bit easier. But I actually write the novels in a language that's like a long poem. I think about language in the same way. I just have to think about the additional part, which is story, and how I am going to create the story and make it work.
Now, People of the Whale it's about a whole village, but it really centers on Thomas Whitka Just, who gets married and then makes a very bad decision in his life, which is to fight in the Vietnam War, and everything seems to flow from that decision, all the problems that he encounters.
Yes, he does, and he becomes a part of a village of people in Vietnam, and he remains after the war is over, which is not unusual. And I did a lot of research for the novel. I even read the memoirs of a Viet Cong, and talked to people and studied, who lived where, and the hill people and the people that lived in the South, and what the cities were like after the occupation, after the Americans left, because I had his daughter there afterwards. And it's also a book that began really on the Northwest coast with a story of tribal corruption. And it was the tribal council that sold 5 whales to Japan for $1 million a whale for sushi, and said that they were killing the whales for their own food. And it began a really large protest. It began a large, it was an event that was televised. People saw the first one killed, and they tried to stop it. There was a girl on a jet ski that the Coast Guard ran over. The men did not know how to paddle. And it's been a very unfortunate incident because this particular nation was ostracized by all the others that lived there, and still is. And when the book came out, the same men who were no longer with the tribal council just killed another whale, and it sank to the bottom of the ocean. So the first one did too. The Coast Guard pulled it up. But in the story it's fiction. It's not based on fact. And so Thomas Just, born on my father's birthday, July the 2nd, has a completely different life. And then he is found, even though he has a child in Vietnam, and his wife is killed by a landmine. And he's determined to find all the landmines and detonate them, or not detonate them, but remove them. And but then when he comes back to the United States after he's forced to by the government, he ends up going home thinking that he's going to a traditional event. And tradition and culture and history are my serious interests for me. All of my books revolve around those, including the political history of what has happened in tribal America. And so the things that happen in a novel, however, are often very magic. At first he didn't have the daughter, and then he did. And I love her. She's a great character and very interesting and very funny. And then it had a chapter that wasn't going to be in there. I thought the book was finished, and the next morning I woke up and there was a new chapter. So, books are very
They're very magical.
They're very magical, and they take care of controlling you. They're in control. They just sort of tell you what to do, and you just go along with it and say, all right.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of authors say, well, I was going to do so-and-so, but my character told me, no, you're not. So.
I know, exactly, they do. Or somebody dies and you don't really want them to. Mm-hmm. And there you are.
Yeah, right. Now what do I do? Well, the book opens with a very magical event of an octopus actually walking on shore and into a cave. And I think that that sets the tone for the whole book because it is magic.
It seems like magic, and it's the octopus now comes back in the novel several times. And of course, it's one of my favorite animals from having been beneath the water and seeing them and then studying them, because I am sort of a serious individual naturalist, I guess you could say. I do my own research. I study anything that interests me: ants, prairie dogs, whales. I've done a book for National Geographic with a friend on the journey of the gray whales from Baja to the Bering Sea, and we spent years traveling back and forth, and that's part of the book, you know, because there are so many things that went into this particular piece of work. But I can't remember where we were. I'm getting excited about the book. Anyway, nothing is as it appears to be in the book, and it's true. It does. Writing is a magical experience, and when I discovered it, you know, I was actually working as a teacher's aide, and I discovered poetry, and because it was so magical, I just thought, this is what I want to do the rest of my life, and I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm. And very successfully too.
It's been fairly successful, yes.
Well, I think that you've done a marvelous job, and as we mentioned in the other interview there, I think you're the only person who's managed to be a finalist for both poetry and fiction in the same year. So that's awfully impressive right there.
Well, thank you. I don't think that anyone should stick to one genre. I think that it's important to write whatever comes.
Mm-hmm. Sort of stretch your muscles a little bit on that.
Stretch your muscles, your mind, and your way of looking at the world.
Right. Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Linda Hogan has been here talking about her book, People of the Whale. You can find it at your library and your favorite bookstore.